Shocking news from the Vatican. Have you heard what happened? Shocking news from the Vatican. Is Pope Francis about to resign? Who will be his successor? What does this mean for the future of the Catholic Church? A shocking revelation has just shaken the entire Christian world. Right now, the Vatican is facing a historic turning point. Pope Francis' health is rapidly declining, and he has had a resignation letter prepared since the beginning of his papacy. But this isn't just a political shift within the Church. It could redefine the future of Christianity itself. What is really happening inside the Vatican? Is there a silent power struggle unfolding? And more importantly, who will take over after Pope Francis? To find out the truth about Pope Francis's current state, make sure to watch this video until the end. You're about to uncover shocking revelations, especially concerning the future of the Catholic Church. Imagine this. You step into St. Peter's Basilica, a sacred symbol of Christian faith. The atmosphere is quiet, yet far from peaceful. The flickering candlelight does little to dispel the unease and uncertainty in the hearts of believers. A shocking announcement has just broken, one that could change the course of the Church forever. Pope Francis is considering resignation. If this happens, it won't just mark the departure of a leader. It will become one of the most significant turning points in Catholic history. And the biggest questions remain: who will succeed him? How will this new leader revive Christianity in an era dominated by science, skepticism, and secularism? Join me as we uncover the truth behind Pope Francis' decision, the internal struggles within the Vatican, and the uncertain path Christianity may take in the years to come. Pope Francis, a leader in an era of turmoil. Declining health. This year, Pope Francis has reached the age of 88, and the signs of aging are taking a serious toll on his ability to lead. As the spiritual leader of 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide, the weight of responsibility on his shoulders is immense. However, his deteriorating health has raised concerns about whether he can continue fulfilling his demanding role. Pope Francis's major health issues: persistent knee problems. Since 2022, the Pope has had to rely on a wheelchair, making mobility and participation in religious ceremonies increasingly difficult. Repeated falls. In December 2024, Pope Francis suffered a fall, leaving a noticeable bruise on his chin. Just a month later, in January 2025, he fell again, this time injuring his arm and requiring a sling for several weeks. Hospitalization for pneumonia and hernia surgery. In March 2023, Pope Francis was hospitalized with a severe lung infection just before Holy Week, the most sacred time of the year for Catholics. Although he recovered quickly, his overall health continued to decline. Then in June 2023, he had to undergo hernia surgery, requiring several days of hospitalization. These incidents bring forth a pressing question. With his health worsening, can Pope Francis still lead one of the world's largest religious institutions? In Catholic Church history, very few popes have resigned due to health concerns. But when a leader is no longer physically capable of fulfilling his duties, should he continue holding on to power? Or is it time to pass the torch to the next generation? 2. The resignation preparations have begun. It is no coincidence that Pope Francis had his resignation letter prepared as soon as he took office in 2013. From the very beginning of his papacy, he anticipated the possibility that one day he might no longer be physically capable of leading the Catholic Church. He firmly believes that a pope must be physically and mentally fit to lead the Church. If he is not, he should step down. This perspective contrasts sharply with previous popes, most of whom remained in office until their deaths. However, Pope Francis does not want to cling to power simply out of tradition. He wants to ensure that the Church always has a leader who is fit to serve its followers. The historical precedent of papal resignation. The resignation of a pope is not entirely unprecedented. In 2013, Pope Benedict XVI shocked the world when he announced his resignation, becoming the first pope in nearly 600 years to step down due to health concerns. Before Benedict XVI, the last pope to resign was Gregory XII in 1415, but his resignation was due to political pressure rather than personal reasons. Pope Francis has publicly supported Benedict XV's decision, calling it a courageous and responsible act for the Church. However, if Pope Francis were to resign now, the consequences could be even more significant. A new power struggle within the Church? A papacy lemondas nemshak ahataskarak atadasarol shol. It could ignite an internal battle between different factions within the Church, especially as progressive and conservative forces clash more than ever before. The reformist faction, led by Pope Francis, seeks a church that is more open, inclusive, and modern. The conservative faction, which opposes many of his reforms, wants to preserve traditional values that they feel are being eroded. If Pope Francis steps down, who will take his place? Will the Church continue its path of reform, or will it revert to the rigid traditions of the past? These questions do not only affect the Vatican, but also directly impact over 1.3 billion Catholics worldwide. Internal conflicts, the silent war within the Church. Reformists versus the conservatives. One of the main reasons why Pope Francis may resign is not just his declining health, but also the intense internal struggles within the Church. In reality, this conflict has been brewing for years, but it became more evident as Pope Francis introduced bold reforms that challenged long-standing Catholic traditions. The Reformists, bringing the Church closer to the modern world. Led by Pope Francis, the Reformists aim to modernize the Church and make it more relevant in today's society. Their key beliefs include promoting tolerance and inclusion, especially for the LGBTQ+ community, enhancing interfaith dialogue, building bridges with other religions for peace and cooperation, advocating for environmental protection, treating care for the planet as a moral duty, implementing financial reforms, striving for transparency, and eliminating corruption within the Vatican. While these ideas have gained support from younger Catholics and progressives, they have faced fierce resistance from the conservative faction. The conservatives, upholding tradition. The conservatives, consisting of many senior cardinals, strongly oppose Pope Francis' changes. They argue that Catholic traditions must be preserved, not altered to fit modern society. Excessive tolerance weakens faith, making the Church lose its core identity. Interfaith dialogue could blur the lines between Catholicism and other religions, causing confusion among believers. Financial reforms may disrupt Vatican structure, threatening those who benefited from the old system. This battle resembles historical power struggles between new and old dynasties. If Pope Francis resigns, the key question is, will the Church continue its path of reform or return to strict traditionalism? 2. Scandals that have shaken the Church's credibility. The Catholic Church has faced a series of shocking scandals, further damaging its credibility. Widespread sexual abuse cases. Thousands of victims have come forward, revealing decades-long cover-ups. Many priests were found guilty, but some bishops and cardinals tried to protect them. Financial corruption and money laundering. Reports of money laundering and financial mismanagement within the Vatican. Lack of transparency in church funds. Can the Church restore its image and regain trust? Who will succeed Pope Francis? After the controversies surrounding Pope Francis' health and the internal divisions within the Church, the biggest question remains: who will be his successor? The selection of the next pope is not just about choosing a new leader. It is a decision that will shape the future of the Catholic Church. Will the new pope continue Pope Francis' reforms, or will the Church return to a more traditional and conservative path? The top contenders for the papacy below are the strongest candidates believed to have the highest chances of becoming the next pope. 1. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the young reformer nationality, Philippines age, 67, born in 1957. Current position, Prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples. Cardinal Tagle is one of the strongest contenders for the papacy. Younger than most other cardinals, meaning he could lead the Church for many years. Supports modernization, promoting interfaith dialogue and inclusivity toward LGBTQ+ individuals. Trusted by Pope Francis, having been appointed to multiple key Vatican positions. Charismatic leadership style, frequently engaging with the faithful through social media. Chance of being elected. Very high. If the Church wants to continue Pope Francis's reforms, Tagle is the ideal choice.
2. Cardinal Pietro Parolin, the skilled diplomat, nationality. Italy, age 69, born in 1955. Current position: Vatican Secretary of State, equivalent to Prime Minister of the Vatican. Cardinal Pietro Parolin is a seasoned diplomat, having worked closely with various governments and serving as Pope Francis's right-hand man in international affairs. Expert in global politics and Vatican diplomacy. Holds a balanced, moderate stance, neither too progressive nor too conservative. Has engaged in high-level negotiations with China, Russia, and Islamic nations on religious freedoms. Could be the best candidate to maintain stability in the Church during uncertain times. Chance of being elected. High. If the cardinals seek a politically experienced leader, Parolin is a strong candidate. 3. Cardinal Christoph Schönborn, the theological scholar, nationality, Austria, age 79, born in 1945. Current position: Archbishop of Vienna. Cardinal Schönborn is one of the most respected theologians in the Church, having played a crucial role in shaping modern Catholic doctrine. Primary contributor to the Catechism of the Catholic Church, supports a more inclusive Church, expressing openness toward LGBTQ+ individuals and divorcees, seen as a potential bridge between conservative and progressive factions. Highly respected among both clergy and lay people for his deep theological knowledge. Chance of being elected. Moderate. He is highly respected, but his older age might make him less likely to be chosen. 4. Cardinal Robert Serra, the strong conservative choice, nationality, Guinea, age 78, born in 1945. Current position: former prefect of the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments. Cardinal Robert Serra is a staunch conservative and one of the strongest opponents of Pope Francis's reforms. Advocates a return to strict Catholic traditions, opposing same-sex marriage and divorce. Wants to strengthen conservative values within the Church. Has strong influence in Africa, where Catholicism is growing rapidly. Openly criticized Pope Francis for being too liberal. Chance of being elected: low. Unless the conservative faction gains enough support, he is unlikely to be chosen. 5. Cardinal Matteo Zuppi, the moderate reformer, nationality, Italy, age 68, born in 1955. Current position: Archbishop of Bologna. Cardinal Matteo Zuppi is a moderate figure, leaning toward reform, but not as radical as Pope Francis. Promotes peace and diplomacy, having mediated conflicts in Africa. Supports inclusivity while maintaining some traditional values. Could be a compromise candidate, appealing to both conservative and progressive factions. Trusted by Pope Francis but maintains a more moderate stance. Chance of being elected: moderate to high. If the Church seeks a balanced leader, Zuppi is a strong choice. Among the top candidates, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle has emerged as one of the most likely successors. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, a strong contender. Many believe that Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle is the strongest candidate, as he shares a similar vision with Pope Francis' youth and modern vision. Cardinal Tagle was born in 1957, making him younger than many other cardinals. This means he has the potential to lead the Church for many years, something older popes could not do. He has a progressive and modern approach, similar to Pope Francis. He is not afraid to engage in discussions on controversial issues, such as LGBTQ+ rights, interfaith dialogue, and social justice. Pope Francis's special trust in him. Cardinal Tagle is not just a key figure in the Church. He is someone Pope Francis has placed great trust in. He has been appointed to several high-ranking positions, including prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, one of the most influential roles in the Vatican. This suggests that Pope Francis may see him as an ideal successor to continue his reforms, a leader who connects with the people. One of Cardinal Tagle's greatest strengths is his ability to connect with the faithful. He regularly holds public lectures and even live streams on social media, making him highly popular among young Catholics. Many compare him to influential popes like John Paul II, who also had a charismatic and approachable leadership style. Can Cardinal Tagle continue Pope Francis's reforms? If elected, Cardinal Tagle is expected to continue Pope Francis's key initiatives, promoting interfaith dialogue and tolerance among different religions, modernizing the Church and making it more accessible to young people, strengthening financial transparency in the Vatican, focusing on social issues such as poverty, inequality, and environmental protection. However, not everyone agrees with his vision. Can Cardinal Tagle withstand the pressure from the conservative faction? If elected as Pope, can he maintain unity in an increasingly divided Church? The next papal election may not just be a simple vote. It could be a battle between modernity and tradition. Ultimately, the decision will be in the hands of the College of Cardinals, who will determine the future of the Catholic Church. The future of Christianity, reviving faith in the age of science. 1. Is Christianity losing its influence? Christianity was once the spiritual and moral pillar of the Western world. However, the rapid advancement of science, technology, and secularism is gradually eroding religious belief in many parts of the world, especially in Western nations. Concerning trends, surveys and research studies indicate that the number of young people leaving religion is rising rapidly. In the US, the percentage of people identifying as nones, no religion, has increased from 16% in 2007 to 29% in 2021. In Europe, the numbers are even higher. Scientific progress has made it harder for people to believe in miracles, heaven, or divine intervention. Many young people now believe that science can explain everything, making religion seem unnecessary. Scandals within the Church have severely damaged trust. Cases of clergy sexual abuse, financial corruption, and Vatican secrecy have caused many believers to lose faith in Church leadership. Could Christianity disappear in the future? Some experts warn that if this trend continues, Christianity could decline significantly in Western societies. However, faith is not disappearing entirely. In places like Africa, Asia, and Latin America, Catholicism continues to grow. But if reforms do not take place, Christianity in the West may continue to lose relevance in an age dominated by science and skepticism. So what must the next pope do to revive faith in the modern world? 2. How can the next pope revive faith? A new pope, if he wants to save Christianity, cannot rely solely on tradition. Instead, he must implement major changes to adapt to the modern world, reforming church doctrine to fit the era, preserve the core values of Christianity while making its teachings more relevant, update biblical interpretations to be more applicable to modern life, engage in open discussions on controversial topics rather than rigidly enforcing outdated doctrines, embracing science instead of rejecting it. Science and faith should not be enemies. Many scientists are also believers. Use science to strengthen faith, incorporating philosophy and psychology to explain religious concepts logically. Encourage dialogue between Vatican leaders and scientists to find common ground. Reforming the Church from within. Eliminate corruption to ensure donations are used properly. Protect children and enforce strict policies against abuse. Increase transparency in Vatican financial activities to restore public trust. Modernizing Christian outreach. utilize social media and technology to spread positive messages, host live streams, podcasts, and digital Bible studies. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle is an example of this approach, using digital platforms to connect with believers. Conclusion: the future of Christianity depends on change. If the Catholic Church fails to adapt, it will continue losing influence, especially among younger generations. Can Christianity evolve with the times, or will it fade away? Conclusion: where is Christianity headed? As Christianity moves forward into a new era, the question of who should lead the Church takes on even greater significance, especially in a society where personal connections seem to be diminishing, replaced by technology and artificial intelligence. The next pope will not only inherit a legacy, but also a responsibility to guide the faithful through a world that is increasingly driven by machines, data, and artificial intelligence. In such an environment, the qualities of leadership needed to steer the Church become even more critical. The ideal leader of the Church must be someone who understands the essence of human connection, one who can embrace the compassionate, empathetic spirit of Christianity even as society grows more detached and mechanized. A leader who relies on technology to spread the message of Christ must not lose sight of the essential humanity that lies at the heart of the Christian faith. The challenges ahead for Christianity are not merely intellectual, but deeply spiritual. The new pope will need to engage in meaningful dialogue, not just with those who believe, but with those who feel disconnected, disillusioned, and even alienated by a world dominated by algorithms and artificial intelligence. Technology, while providing incredible tools for outreach, cannot replace the deeply human aspects of faith, compassion, love, and personal connection. In this context, the next pope must be someone who is not only intellectually equipped to navigate the changing tides of modernity, but also spiritually grounded in the timeless principles of love, empathy, and hope. The Church's leader must find ways to bridge the gap between the cold precision of technology and the warmth of human connection that Christianity has always championed. Furthermore, this leader must model integrity and transparency, especially in an age where the trust in institutions is eroding. Scandals and corruption cannot be overlooked or swept under the rug. The Pope must restore the faithful's confidence by embodying the virtues of honesty, humility, and accountability, offering a vision of a church that is not only spiritual, but also just and pure. As we look to the future, we must remember that Christianity's strength lies not in the power it holds, but in the love it spreads. In a world increasingly driven by data and machines, the Christian message must be one of deep, genuine human connection. The next pope must not only embrace the tools of the modern world, but also remain steadfast in leading with a heart full of compassion, as these qualities will be the true power that sustains Christianity for future generations. The future of Christianity is inextricably linked to the heart of its leader. And as we await the next pope, we must ask ourselves, can we remain true to the spirit of Christ in a world dominated by machines, or will we lose what makes us human? The answer, ultimately, rests in the hands of the entire Christian community, and it is one that will unfold in the years to come. Thank you for watching and being part of our journey.